Live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Africa First.
Once again, this is Breakfast Headlines on News Central Television with me, Blessings Musugu. Now we start in the west of the continent where no fewer than 4 persons were confirmed dead, while 11 others sustained injuries in a lone accident involving a Fortin bus at the Ayetoro axis on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Nigeria. The spokesperson, Ogun Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps, Trace Babatunde Akimbiyi, confirmed the incident. Akimbiyi explained that the accident was caused by tire burst, which led the commercial bus somersaulting into a ditch. Now in West Africa, Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP has urged the Nigerian Senate Akpabio and Speaker of the nation's House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, to drop what it called the scandalous plan to spend 40 billion naira on 465 exotic and bulletproof cars for members and principal officials, and 70 billion naira as palliatives for new members. Earlier, we're joined on the news by a lawyer, Olariwaju Ajanoku, and Adiribibe Abiola, a public affairs analyst, to discuss this.
For our democracy, it shows that our lawmakers and different arms of the government are disconnected from the masses, and we have failed to wake up from the slumber that high cost of governance cannot be tolerated thus far. We cannot go ahead and, be spending so much on maintaining governance in Nigeria. It shows that representatives are more interested in getting benefits other than representing the masses. I mean, because if you look from previous administration, they've spent humongous amounts on vehicles, houses, and other benefits. I mean, like, this should not be so, given the fact that their allowances and salaries are already even big and magnanimous already.
People are hungry. I mean, people can't afford 3 square meals a day. There you go. There are ways and manners of going about issues of buying cars for lawmakers. There is a body, there is an agency responsible for confirming and working out what is payable or making what's made to be made available to the National Assembly.
Right.
But here we are. Just wake up one day and you say 110 billion naira just for cars.
Now, Libyan border guards have rescued dozens of migrants they say had been left in the desert by Tunisian authorities without water, food, or shelter. Hundreds of migrants from sub-Saharan African countries were forcibly taken to a desert and hostile areas bordering Libya and Algeria after racial unrest in early July in Sfax, Tunisia's second largest city. And that's all we have on the news at this hour. Olive and Osaogie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Blessings, for those very interesting stories. We'll see you at 9 a.m.
Sure.
All right. Now, stay with us this morning. We have more breaking, big stories coming your way this morning on the program. But let's get to the newspapers this morning and see what the major headlines are.
Beginning here in Nigeria, the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning has several headlines, and the big story reads, controversy over alleged resignation of APC chair Adamu. Now, there have been allegations as to his alleged resignation being as a result of his lack of support for the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's candidacy during the elections. But then again, these are all speculations. Adamu allegedly forced to resign 2 days before NEC meeting. Party spokesperson Mam, NWC member, other sources divided over resignation. Kyari may chair NWC meeting. Resist new scramble for Africa, Tinubu tells AU Forum. 43 million Nigerians shut out of Buhari's cash transfer. Wow. Did you get 1,000 naira?
I didn't. You know, and I'm plotting, my next move.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. All right.
With my legal representative.
All right. We hear from a lawyer. Maybe you should also contact Sarah. Sarah will be sure to do something helpful. NDLEA nabs Europe bound undergraduate Lagos lawyer with drugs. World Bank links Lagos building collapses to poor regulation. At the top of the paper, IG withdraws mobile policemen from ex-governors, ministers, VIPs. I'm tired of hearing this story. Every Eke market day, we're hearing this headline. IG withdraws mobile policemen from ex-governors, ministers, VIPs. Who really are they deceiving? Which ex-minister will go around
Moving
Lagos
around
without police escort? Who are they deceiving with these headlines?
Oh.
Anyway, two more stories. NERC may okay tariff hike as electricity subsidy hits 2.8 trillion naira. And final story, anger as Senate defends 70 billion naira palliative for lawmakers. That's all we can take on the front page of the Punch.
All right. And now on the Vanguard newspapers, it says there, subsidy removal, federal government targets two-pronged relief for workers to provide palliatives and pay 200,000 naira minimum wage. To empower states to pay new wage. How exactly? Because, if the state's internally generated revenue is not improved upon, you can almost not get the state. A lot of them struggle to move from 18,000 naira to 30,000 naira in the first place.
And they are still
owing. A lot of them are still owing, and struggling. So how do you expect them to pay 200,000 naira minimum wage? And, what do you mean by empower them? What empowerment are you giving to the states? Adulterated aviation fuel floods Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and of course David Hundane's report creates of conversations, and of course led to a better led to of course the suspension of Max Airlines, I remember, and then also maybe led to investigation into the aviation petrol or aviation fuel rather that was being used. Hopefully also saved Nigeria from an air disaster. Also on the Vanguard this morning, insurgency, military might alone can't solve crisis in Northeast, says VP Shetima. And also Tinubu affirms Africa's unity, warns against new scramble for continent. Illegal firearms charge, lawyers, activists demand Emefiele's immediate release. Very interesting because this didn't get a lot of traction over the weekend, and that is the fact that the former CBN governor has been charged, with illegal possession of firearms, and it was some old Dane gun, type of, gun that was, allegedly found in his house. And then, it was a good time for, Nigerians to remind the Nigerian government, the DSS and everybody that Ibikule Amos, the former governor of Ogun State, I believe, had illegally at that time, it was stories that he had illegally had in his possession more than 1,000 AK-47 rifles. If you remember Asari Dokubo also in the video about a few weeks ago when he was threatening, certain demographic in the country with an AK-47 rifle, which of course is illegal, and nothing was done.
Exactly.
So there have been many cases where people have been wielding weapons, and of course have not been questioned by the DSS. So what is, Godwin Emefiele's? What's special about this former CBN governor's case? Also this morning, a few other stories. APC crisis pressure mounts on Adamu Omishori to resign. Naira hits new low at 820 Naira to the dollar as Forex supply gap persists. I can just throw in one of two others. Serapto Akpabio Abbas drop plan to spend $110 billion on bulletproof cars. Billion Naira, beg your pardon. I think we're going to stop here on the Vanguard this morning. And of course, these are the stories that we can share with you across the newspapers. Grab a copy, and of course, if you have any reactions to some of the things that we've spoken about so far, remember to tweet at News Central TV and let us know your thoughts on them. Stay with us this morning. Now, let's share with you some really good news.
Hello and welcome to This is Good News Africa, a segment set aside to present everything good in the news to you, our viewers, by spotlighting persons, organizations, or people who are doing remarkable, commendable, inspiring, and breathtaking things in their community, sector, or for humanity. And I know you typically would expect to see Joe Hansen, but today we're standing in for him. The voice and rights of every girl child needs to be heard, protected, and addressed against gender inequalities, discrimination, and harmful practices. Now, what then is a girl child? A girl child is any female child or young girl, typically under the age of 18, who can hardly make decisions for herself. The empowerment of the girl child has gained significant attention in recent years as efforts are made to address issues such as child molestation, child marriage, slavery, and the likes. Well, joining us today on the show is a woman who has taken the empowerment of the girl child upon herself by ensuring that they are not deprived of their rights. Good morning and welcome to the show, Oluwaseyi Baba Busola, the Executive Director, Reaching Hands Foundation. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Oluwaseyi, I mean, it's no surprise to see why you would pick an interest in the empowerment of the girl child, seeing as you're female yourself. But I'd like you to talk to us about where we are in Nigeria as a country in terms of when it comes to the empowerment of the girl child. Where are we? What must be done? And how has your foundation helped the girl child who is being deprived of her right?
All right, thank you so much for having me on this show. My name is Oluwaseyi Baba Busola, and I'm doing so well. I'm so happy to be on the show. And the empowerment of the girl child is really, really important. I grew up in a community whereby I've seen girls who lack education and are deprived, and they do not have access to health care. They do not have access to skill building that can make them thrive in life. And so Reaching Hands Foundation offers different solutions to this. And first is education, quality education. We believe that if a girl is educated, she is going to break the cycle of poverty. She is going to do so well in life. And so we solve this problem by creating access to education, access to mentorship, access to scholarship for her to access education. And also, we believe that every girl, if a girl has access to healthcare, she can thrive well. And so we provide solution in the healthcare sector also by giving girls the access to healthcare through organizing workshops, health camps, and so many other healthcare and wellness solutions. A healthy girl can study well and thrive well. And so, also we...
Yeah. I mean, you've talked about some of the work that you've done, and I'd like you to maybe paint a picture for us as to what the current challenges are. But we'll go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be delving even deeper into this conversation. Stay with us.
Take it from me, the mind-blowing way to do things is the Glow LTE advanced way. When you stream, it's like you're in the drama itself. When you make, you reach where others can't. Sophie! Doing business is like running Wall Street from your street. And when you play,
they beat you guy.
We'll see about that.
It's like traveling the world without moving an inch.
Is that Toby in your room?
You can download in the blink of an eye in 4K.
Go, go.
And when you go for your dreams, it's like running with the strength of 3 nations behind you.
Glow LTE Advanced, the power of 3 data networks in one. Get a Glow SIM or dial *301#.
Welcome back to This is Good News Africa. We're still joined by Oluwaseyi Bababusola, who's the Executive Director, Reaching Hands Foundation. Now, before we went on the break, we're talking about what you have done, and you talked about educating the girl child to help her thrive. But I wanted you to paint a picture for us as to the challenges that the girl child faces, and there are numerous ones. Maybe one-on-one encounters you've had, one-on-one experiences with education, early marriage of the girl child, and even them being abused and exploited as house girls. So give us examples that you have experienced yourself.
Okay, all right. So one of the challenges that we have settled is lack of education, and we've also seen cases of early marriages whereby the parents gave out their children for early marriages, and we've seen that this has a whole lot of impact, negative impact in the community. Giving out a child for early marriage kills dreams, and this child cannot make informed decisions at that particular time. And so Reaching Hands Foundation solves this problem. We know we cannot completely solve this problem on our own, and so we collaborate with other organizations, and to educate and empower young girls to build self-confidence and also self-esteem, and also educate parents, because we know that the child cannot make informed decisions at that particular time. And so we educate the community, educate parents, most importantly the parents and the family. And because when we look at the roots of these causes, the roots of this issue, we know that it's poverty and lack of knowledge. And so we educate them and also create sustainable solutions that can help the community. And thank you.
Okay, what are the struggles that you have also had to deal with in order to achieve these things? And I'm sure that you, of course, had to source funding. Has there been any, support from, the government, either the state or the local government, at any level? And of course, what kind of help, would definitely come in handy?
All right, thank you so much. All right, from inception to 6 years ago, we've been working with our donors, and we've been doing more of collaborations. We believe in the human currency, and we're doing more of collaborations. And also we have a large base of volunteers, which I shout out to our volunteers who have been very impactful. And so we do fundraising. We have 2 main sources of funding for now, and we're looking forward to getting grants and funds from the government and international and local. But right now we are carrying out our project from our fundraising, and which we reach out to individuals and corporate organizations to carry out this project. And this is all we're doing for now.
Okay, and also would like to ask, how individuals can support your NGO. I know that you're basically, what you're saying is that you're doing a lot of the things by yourself. But how can individuals be a part of helping your NGO, and also how can they help in furthering the message that your NGO is trying to push in support of the girl child?
All right, so Reaching Hands Foundation is not just particularly for the girl child. Our aim is to empower youth and women in rural Africa to reach their full potential by providing quality education, access to healthcare and awareness, entrepreneurship and skill building, and community service projects. And so individuals can help us by spreading the message about Reaching Hands Foundation, donating, and reaching us on our social media platform, and seeing how they can, spreading the good message that we are doing at Reaching Hands Foundation. We have different projects coming up soon. We have rural summer program, which is coming up next month to help girls and young people and women in rural areas to empower them with skills and also to create a rural summer coaching lesson for them to access to education and also to pair them with pair them for apprenticeship where they get to learn a skill with bigger companies and also internships. And also they will be involved in community projects. We also have other projects coming along, education for all, back to school projects, and so many other health and wellness community services projects on our records. And we are planning to do a whole lot for humanity.
All right. I'm hoping that, of course, it does empower 1, 2, 3, 100, 1,000, as many as possible young girls across our societies and even beyond Nigeria. Thank you very much for stopping by, Oluwaseyi.
Thank you so much.
And we hope that we continue to spread the message about the needs of the girl child here in Nigeria.
Yes.
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we of course continue with conversations here in Nigeria. Of course, stay with us here on News Central TV.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every raise, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live.
Southeast region is said to have lost about 4 trillion naira to the sit-at-home order of the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra in the last 2 years. According to the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, the order being observed every Monday across the 5 states of the region has stifled economic growth and has forced potential investors out of the Southeast.
The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, announced a total lockdown of social and economic activities every Monday starting from August 9th, 2021 in the Southeast region of the country to demand the freedom of its incarcerated leader, Nnamdi Kanu, who of course has been in custody of the Department of State Services, DSS. To, of course, expand on these conversations, we're going to be joined in a bit by a member of the House of Representatives, of course, who is from the Southeast and has lived in the Southeast, for a long time. But these conversations are mostly centered around what happens next, with the new leadership in the Southeast. There have been, elections, there are new governors, the call for the end to the sit-at-home and to the terrorism of the IPOB has increased. Ifeanyi Ubah, of course, I remember a few weeks ago was in a video clip, asking persons in his community to end the sit-at-home and ensure that, of course, they take the fight. Not necessarily take the fight, but, that they shouldn't, continue, with the whole sit-at-home narrative. The governor of Enugu State, Peter Mbah, of course, in a letter over the weekend to teachers across Enugu State was, seemingly demanding that they get back to work on Mondays, and that there will be punitive measures for these principals or these schools, if they do not get back to work on Mondays and open the schools for people. But, I think we've repeatedly said this, and at this point, it will be shocking if governors in the Southeast do not still understand what people are saying, that if they do not feel safe, they will not come out.
It's not for want of, need to disobey the government.
Exactly.
It's mainly because of fear of their life and their property.
Not just disobeying the government. It's not for, it's not because people just like to sleep in on Mondays, and not do anything. They do not necessarily enjoy the extended weekend. It is because they do not feel safe. And because of that, they will continue to stay in. But now we would have to question, whether the Southeast governors are able to, set up security architecture enough to protect the people, or we still have to rely on the federal government. And of course, the silence of the federal government is also telling here. But now let's, say good morning and welcome to Honorable Professor Paul Namchi. He is a House of Representatives member, Enugu East Isuzu Federal Constituency. Thank you, Honorable, for joining us, and good morning to you. Professor, can you hear us? Good morning.
Yes, effectively, I can hear you.
All right. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
You. Can you hear me too?
Yes, we can
hear you.
Loud and clear. Thanks for joining us. So I think we can get straight into...
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. All right. I want us to get straight into it. Of course, the conversations are centered, at least for starters, mostly around the sit-at-home order in the Southeast and how the Southeast is suffering. It's another Monday morning. The Enugu State governor, of course, has given orders to teachers across the school and school principals and the likes to ensure that schools are open, on Monday morning. And the same thing that Charles Soludo, the Anambra State governor, tried when he got into office. But none of these things seem to be working. In the next couple of hours, we will see whether Enugu people came out, fully. But I want you to share your thoughts on why it is becoming so difficult to end the sit-at-home order in the Southeast.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Please, can you come back with your question, because we are just coming to make it up when you...
I'm asking your views on ending the sit-at-home order in the Southeast, why it has become so difficult, and what you think must be done if, we're going to see the Mondays in the Southeast come back, to life.
Personally, I think it's not to do, but also we have to appeal to the people that is not to a good end, but at the same time that our people, everybody can understand that people deserve better, and we can also do better. But the sit-at-home hasn't solved the problem. We might also find a quick solution. But being one of the lawmakers and also being one of the opinion holders here, I also think that the best should be to appeal to our people to know that there is other ways to solve the problem, and it can be exploited. But most importantly, those of us in the House are making efforts to see that the release Nnamdi Kanu, which has also been the immediate cause. But there's also other things that are remote causes, which are also the people suffering in the Southeast. That was actually started with issues we are dealing with today. But actually, it is long overdue that we stop it, that it ends, but also that the people should be heard. probably a kind of negotiation to the key players may also help out to solve this problem.
All right, so a quick question would be the fact that there have been a number of people who have said that the sit-at-home order is like spiting your eyes, or biting your nose to spite your eyes, basically hurting yourself, and that it's hurt the people of the East. How exactly, I mean, you've talked about negotiations being brought into consideration. Is this, some have argued that this is not really something that can really aid the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Like, whilst many people are clamoring that he be released based on the judgments of the court, but will this sit-at-home order really, is that really the way to go about it? Will even negotiations cost anything to get better? And is this something that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself is in support of?
Well, let me start from your last question. I have not met him, so I wouldn't know if it is something he will support or not. But the only thing that it is hurting our people. My other thing is also that word compromise. There is a new government, so there must be a new push to get him out of the incarceration. There is need that he comes out. There is need that some element of negotiation comes to play. Politics is not about fighting. It is about also combined diplomacy with every other thing around it to make sure that you get to a solution. It is no longer a one approach issue now. It's supposed to be a multiple issues to make sure that these people that he comes out, but at the same time that peace reigns in our land, that normalcy returns again. That's what I feel. That word compromise must be applied in everything. As a government, it is about making people, because there's also other element that will come to play after all. That is poverty. That is people no employment. Because an idle man is a devil's workshop. People are being used to do that. Those people also need jobs. They need employment. They need good life. These are the multiple approaches, I think, that to be employed to solving that.
I'm sure, I'm not the only one who would argue that, the case currently now, if you're talking about negotiations, might even be harder for any government, seeing that it is, the IPOB and its members have spread terror in the Southeast. This is no longer a peaceful protest for his release. This is now seemingly spreading terror across the Southeast. It has led to violence against people of the Southeast. And the Nigerian government will not be held to ransom by these individuals, to release its leaders so that they can allow people to go back their lawful activities. What are they going to demand next? And, next time that they place a demand, is the Nigerian government or the Southeast going to be under siege again? So it's hard to even negotiate at any point, concerning these things. But I want to go further, and talk about, your role in the House of Reps. What are the conversations like amongst, House of Rep members concerning the Southeast? I'm talking about members from the Southeast now. You spoke about, a push earlier. What are the conversations like?
Well, we're not relenting. That's exactly what the conversation are. We're not relenting anything that will ensure peace in the globe. We're not relenting anything that will ensure stability and also good governance. Because good governance actually is those of us who are in the position today. It's not just we are also both consumers and also givers in this case. If there's peace in your load, if you come, you will enjoy the peace. If you don't provide peace, you don't enjoy it. So, whatever you...
All right. We, of course, would try to reconnect with Honorable Paul Namchi. He's a House of Reps member representing Enugu East, Isuzu local government area in the Federal House of Reps, basically, under the Labour Party. And the conversations are about improving on the situation in the Southeast, the siege that has been laid on residents of the Southeast by the indigenous people of Biafra, who have continued to demand in a very criminal way, release of their leader. These are some of the things that, of course, we'll continue to speak about. And I was saying earlier that it's hard for you to negotiate with people who have, laid terror on the southeastern region of the country.
He who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
Absolutely. Because what you've done now is tell the federal government that you are armed and dangerous. And because you are armed and dangerous, almost, I can call them a terror group, you can't be trusted.
Right.
And the Nigerian government will not cower to your demands because, well, you're demanding something else. Honorable Namji, welcome back. I was trying to get clarity on what exactly the moves that are being made by members of the House of Representatives or in the Senate from the Southeast. What are the conversations like? I understand that you've said that you leave no stone unturned, but can you be specific in any way on something that has been said or that is being said?
I guess you asked me to repeat the answer, I guess.
No, I'm asking for specificity on the things that are being said in the House of Reps or in the National Assembly by members from the Southeast.
Okay, members of the Southeast they have a caucus where they meet each time to discuss their common problems and also common goals. In those, we love to see the new executives both in the House and also the executives with the president and others. But also to make sure that there will be a political solution to it. Well, you don't just take off everything out of the burner. If release of Nnamdi will be the best approach, I think they can't. There's nothing wrong if he's released from bail again. And when government changes face, there's a lot of things that also change. Let that be that could be also a marked point in this administration that he's released. When he's released, let us see if that criminality will continue or if the situation will continue. I think that his release will be a very big turning point in that Sitatobi issues. But no one would actually wish his people to have such this condition. It's really wrong. It has actually given it's setting our people back. We are progressive people.
My point, Honorable Namchi, is...
Hello?
Yes, but if you can hear me, my point is that it seems like the Nigerian state is being held to ransom by a group of people. And it's going to be harder to cower to their demands because it's almost the same thing as, ISWAP. You may argue that they're not the same type of terror organization or some same type of group. But if they have been able to lay siege against the Southeast, then they're pretty much doing almost the same thing that ISWAP or Boko Haram, anybody or other person did. And so anybody arguing that anybody arguing that, maybe some ISWAP terror leaders that have been held in prisons in the north should be released to end the siege, it doesn't sound okay. But now, before we might get back to the conversations in the Southeast, I want us to talk about other things. In the last couple of days, there's been some criticism about Labour Party members who just got into the National Assembly. There have been questions asked as to whether they are a party to the 70 billion naira that is being, sought after, for National Assembly members, or the 40 billion naira that is being used to buy SUVs for National Assembly members. And if Labour Party members in the National Assembly are speaking against it, or they, are all in it to receive.
I think, let me just make this very clear. That the Labour Party should not be singled out for one thing or the other to malign our integrity. I'm just hearing this in the television and the newspaper, just like yourself. When you say National Assembly, what was brought to the House is the palliative. That's going to be no one gave us anything, any hint, any paper to show that this amount is for SUVs or non-SUVs or other things belonging to the National Assembly. No one did. And at the same time, I also want to tell you, we are in to see that to end people's suffering as a result of well increased electricity power increase and all sorts of things that have befallen the people for the time being. So no one was given any paper to say sign or pass because the SUV will be given to you, or now anybody actually met us or converts that. No one has done that. So all of us have seen it in the national dailies and maybe television, just like you are asking me. We have no hand in it, and Labour Party and executive will never, at some point, at any point, compromise our integrity because we came on the people's interest. It is because of failure of the system or that party that we came, that some of us are now politicians.
Okay,
So,
I'm really I'm
it-
mostly sharing, some of the questions that I have seen people ask. And of course,
Okay,
if you are saying now that there is nothing like 70 billion naira to ease the working conditions of National Assembly members, there's nothing like 40 billion naira to buy SUVs for National Assembly members, then those would be quoted to you, and you will be, of course, Nigerians are going to see that.
I said to my own understanding, I haven't seen such paper.
Okay.
They might be, but when it gets to me, then I will see. I haven't seen such paper. I wasn't asked. I didn't sign anything towards that. But also, one thing I also have noticed in the National Assembly is there is this horizontal and multiple approach. The National Assembly has about 7,000 workers. That also, I see that they work hand in hand with the people representing. They have National Assembly Service Commission. They also National Assembly Endowment and all those parastatals there. You also have 8 working there. Are these people going to be given cars? No. Are the lawmakers now? You have on the horizontal ladder. You also see the senator. Senator is 109, and that of representatives that's 360 or 360 or 367. 360, sorry. I don't see the area where just buy the SUV, buy the car, will take all these things that he said. I don't see that. I don't know. And that has not been brought to our table. I can tell you, as far as of today, not even a month salary has been given to us. As I'm talking today.
Right.
No money has been given to us as salary. There is nothing given to us as maybe any say furniture as people continue to insulate or maybe housing. And we're not complaining to anybody. But the thing is that what we came up to say is that let there be good governance for our people. Let there be change. Let the system work. That's what some of us are here to do. Yeah.
We'd also like to find out, what your thoughts are, what the Labour Party's position is as regards President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 8,000 naira monthly palliative that is stipulated to help Nigerians cushion the effects of the recent increase in price and the increase in cost of living. Is the Labour Party in support of it? Are you in support of it?
There is always a modality where how incentives are given. I don't think the trade money type of relationship, the type of palliative still succeeds. And also, I think they also, I'm yet to get the full information how they want to distribute that. Because sometimes the data is not just, we don't have enough data in the country to know the families who are giving those money. These are some of the problems you might encounter if you are giving anybody money. And if you have increased transportations and all that, is giving them work go to solve the problem for 1 year, or just giving to them to eat for 1 day? That's a lot of questions that we ask if such things are produced, are canvassed. I think the best is get those systems that will lower down the cost of transportation, get the refineries working so that we can also have effective and cost of living, because the petroleum cost also affects every other thing in the country. Just supposing that this is actually where our mainstay of the economy comes from. So anything that affects the petroleum affects a lot of the living. So also things like a hike in electricity. A lot of things have been increasing, but the salaries of workers have remained stagnant. These are things you can actually talk about. These are things you can actually increase, and it will really have a good impact on society.
So just to clarify,
one thing that will have society, not just giving people.
Yeah, just to clarify, there was an 800, billion plus supplementary budget. Is this? Can we clarify that it has been passed?
It is not. I think what was brought to the National Assembly is.
Please go ahead.
Okay, what was brought to the National Assembly is 500 billion.
Okay.
Not 800 billion. And it was coming from 222 appropriation bill. And some of what I noticed, what I saw there is that they're taking money from certain projects and putting as a form of into the 500 pause that the president required. It's not 800. 800 was the remaining. It's actually 800 billion was what is remaining. But what they asked the National Assembly to pass for them is 500 billion. So I don't know where the appropriation has come, where that 800 or so is coming from.
No,
but
I mean, the report says that the government had asked for 819, I think, billion naira supplementary budget. And of course, from there, that was where the 500 billion was meant to be used, taken out of, to, of course, for the palliatives. So is that report wrong?
I think what was presented to us is that of palliative. I don't know if any other one, to be honest.
Okay, so this is where the question, I think, came from. That yes, 500 billion was presented, to, of course, for palliatives for the Nigerian people.
As I said before.
Yes.
As I said before, I haven't seen that paper, unless it's going to come in future, and I don't know anything about it. What I'm aware of is what you said, what I just answered about the 500 billion. And you asked me about the 8,000. I said I don't know about it. The executive have not made us aware of such 8,000 because 8,000 is not just about changing. It's not about just feeding somebody for a day. It's not about changing the life pattern and about good governance, offering good governance to Nigeria.
All right. Professor or Honorable Paul Namchi, thank you very much for your time this morning. And of course for joining us. We wish you an interesting time in the National Assembly, and we would love to speak with you again.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, let's move away from politics and issues concerning Nigeria. Let's go into entertainment and share with you some of the biggest stories in entertainment. Sam Dandy comes up right next.
All right, now so much happened in the entertainment scene over the weekend. But let's begin in West Africa, where Nigerian musician Adekunle Gold has tackled OAU students who harassed him back in 2015. Now the Tio Tequila singer recounted in a tweet his terrible experience, and he's advising other entertainers against performing in the school. The superstar tackled online blogs and some Obafemi Awolowo students who alleged that he delivered a poor performance back in 2015. Let's look at that tweet. In fact, he says, "Poor what? I had just one song out there in Sade, and these knew it. They booked me. I prostrated for the students, Noam. I hyped the crowd up, performed a cappella, sang the full song, entered the crowd, performed again, came back to the stage, did the same thing again." Now, tweets from 2015 confirmed that the singer was harassed. And in fact, he says they followed me to my hotel to get half of their 300K that they had paid me. I had one song, performing Sade 6 times, he says. The globally recognized star even revealed that they were going to harm him. He says, "Do you know how insane that is?" He also said one of their representatives came to lie. Others came to his defense, some apologizing, of course, and others recalling the actual event, some even calling it a traumatic experience for the sensational singer. At some point, they said that they were throwing sachets of water at the singer. the Nigerian superstar who dropped new music on Friday. He's expected to drop his 5th studio album on the 29th of this month, and then proceed for a world tour across the UK and North America. I guess everyone has their humble beginnings, but fans need to do better, because throwing it's wrong. But still in West Africa, Ghanaian musician Sarkodie is in the news. The multi-award winning rapper, I beg your pardon, is making waves on his Jams World Tour, which kickstarted on Saturday, just this Saturday the 15th, in New York. The rapper born Michael Owosuado makes history at the New York Town Hall, thrilling several fans to some of his biggest hits. Now, many Ghanaian fans across the world called it a win for Ghana. In fact, the highlight for many fans who were at the attendance was the guest performance from veteran musician Kojo Antwi. Now, the 38-year-old star would continue on tour till September, performing across Washington, D.C., Chicago, Nashville, and 3 locations in Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, and Edmonton. Let's watch this video. What a time to be alive. Seeing African stars, Afrobeat stars performing all across the world, it's definitely beautiful to behold. But let's move to East Africa, where preparations have begun for one of Kenya's most promising festivals. Now, the Shoke Shoke Festival will be bringing together some of the country's biggest stars, and the organizers have revealed that Nigerian singer and songwriter Ruga will headline the 2nd edition set for later this month. Now, Ruga will share the stage with Kenyan hip-hop group Wakadinali. There's, of course, Kahush, Lord Win, CNG, Dream, amongst others. I also did see the Sonel musician. I'm a huge fan, South African. He's also going to be performing. But this is Ruga's 3rd performance in Kenya, and he seems to have amassed plenty fans from his several hit songs. Now, the buzz is getting bigger for the festival following the success of its debut edition. Remember, Shoke Shoke 1.0 featured Ira Star, a Nigerian sensation, and was trending at top 3 on Google Trends. In fact, it garnered over 5,000 concert goers, 20 million TikTok challenge views, was #1 trending on Kenyan Twitter in March last year, and 8,000 trees were planted. Now, in fact, the Shoke Shoke and their team have once again pledged to plant 1 tree for each ticket sold. Fans don't have to wait too long. In fact, it kicks off on the July 29th this month at Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi. And tickets currently are priced at 2,000 Kenyan shillings for regular and about 6,000 for VIP. We're looking forward to seeing how this one goes, of course. Ruga, I'm sure he would put on a show for many of the females, particularly in the audience. Well, let's move to this one. On the international scene, of course, it's much buzz since Mission Impossible dropped. And impressively, it's doing great numbers since its debut. Although it's behind some predictions and expectations, the 7th installment started off with about $155 million for a global debut of about $235 million. Now, with the first week figures out, it's big because Dead Reckoning Part 1 leads the other Mission Impossible films in the couple of days that it's been out already. And even movie critics have rated the film high. I'm talking Rotten Tomatoes rated it about 96%, and a Cinema Score rated it an A. Now, the movie cost nearly $300 million before marketing, which is incredibly expensive, but this was, of course, due to COVID-related starts and stops and other pandemic-era safety measures. Also, the stunts. Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt, flies out of a mountain on a motorcycle, scales off a running train, maneuvers a tiny car through the bustling streets of Rome. And it's definitely one of those ones that you definitely would go out to watch. But a lot of the fears for the film dropping is the fact that Barbie is going to be dropping later this month. So, and we saw the marketing on Barbie. So I have to ask, Mission Impossible, are you big fans?
I'm so excited about Mission Impossible. I can't wait for it. I definitely will see it at the cinema this week. But I just want to say that it's interesting how Barbie has become main character energy. All of a sudden, everybody wants to be Barbie and jump on the Barbie trend. And I really
hope... It's just a lot of PR. I don't think anybody cares that much about Barbie.
really hope that after all the PR and the marketing, that the film is worth all the hype. Because the hype is a lot.
I agree.
But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to Mission Impossible. And I'm sure we can talk about it after I've seen it this week at the cinema.
All right, Sam Danny, thanks a lot for stopping by. See you again.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's quickly share with you what comes up later today on News Central TV.
10:30 a.m. West African time in the game.
1 p.m. West African time, we're going beyond the continent.
And 7 p.m. West African time is Politics HQ. Thank you for joining us today on the brand new edition of Breakfast Central this week. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I am Olive MOD.
And I am Osaogi Ogbawa. See you.
Bye.
A high-performance car is like a high-performance athlete. What you get out of it has everything to do with what you put into it. Quattro, with its high-performance formula, it's designed specifically to ensure engine cleanliness. And it's guaranteed to give your car perfect performance. From start to finish. Quattro Lubricants, 100% auto fitness from Conoil.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every race, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa first. Thanks for staying with us here on News Central Television. I'm Joe Hansen with the stories of 9 a.m. West African time on News Now. Let's begin the news in the east of the continent. At least 16 people were killed late Sunday when two vehicles collided in Uganda. The accident took place in Kenjojo district, about 248 kilometers west of the capital Kampala. Ugandan police issued a statement saying that 16 people died in Nyansheke village in Kenjojo district on Fort Port Hoima Road. Nyansheke village chief Anthony Kalang